Hi, so I wanted to share an experience that happened to me that made me come to some really strong realizations about things that obviously I already kind of knew, but it really got reinforced into me through this experience. Um, I ended up last weekend in hospital for a few days. What actually happened was I think it started from a spider bite that I must have sat on when I was out in the forest, and it must have bitten me, and a bite came up like on the cheek of my bum, and it looked like it was going down, and I do normally have really strong reactions to bites, so I didn't really think too much of it. And then all of a sudden it became really, really inflamed, and it was so infected, and just within the space of 2 to 3 days, and I could feel there was this really hard mass that was probably between the size of a golf ball and a tennis ball. And I went to the walk-ins to get checked out, thinking that they would just give me some antibiotics, which I hate taking. But at this point, I just got onto black seed oil. I know there's lots of remedies, and I was doing the turmeric, but um, I'd kind of left it that little bit too late to start these things, and I didn't really have enough faith. I was also doing thinking about subliminals and stuff, but it all just happened so quickly that I didn't have time to really put these things into practice before I went to walk in. I had no idea how serious it was. And they said, "Oh, you're not going home. We're going to have to sort of take you straight through to theatre." And within hours, I was having it lanced off. And to begin with, thought, how have I created this into my reality? Well, I do have a habit of saying I have very bad reactions to bites because that's been my reality. So it's something that I then share and I say and I repeat a lot, even though I'm aware of my thoughts, and I try and navigate them on big things and not go down negative paths. Some things we just say, we don't really think too much about them. They're not affecting our lives too much. And then I also realised as I was being taken down to the operating theatre, I was laughing with the anaesthetist and surgeon, because I don't know if they're the people, they didn't take me down actually, but they were the people, they came to see me. But when I was being wheeled down, I was laughing about how I knew exactly what was going to happen to me, because I used to watch a lot of Dr. Pimple Popper stuff. It's a disgusting thing, but I used to love watching like spots be squeezed, and they used to do like some abscess removal, which is exactly what I'd got, an abscess. And I realised that I knew exactly how the process was going to go because of how many of these YouTube videos, I used to find them really relaxing at night, so I used to watch a lot of them to kind of go to sleep to. I don't think anyone, I would say I don't think anyone else does, but they had millions of views. So there are lots of other millions of weirdos like me that also like to watch that thing for fun. Maybe not everyone. And I didn't watch it with any negativity. I didn't watch it thinking, oh, I hope that never happens to me. I actually just watched it because I thought it was relaxing and I enjoyed watching it. But I watched a lot of them, and it suddenly dawned on me, I kind of did imprint my subconscious with this stuff because I watched so much of it, And I said I have really bad reactions to bites a lot. I don't know really how we can counteract all of this stuff, because there's so many things that we sort of throw away saying. It's very hard to, and that's been years since I've even watched any, But I could totally see how I created that. And then I sort of played around a little bit while I was, so with an abscess, I don't know if anyone's had one, but it's a very annoying recovery because you don't just get the wound sewn up, because it's a really quick operation. It's like 15 minutes. I was knocked out for it under general, and I did have to stay in hospital for about 3 days to get the infection starting to get under control, and then I was sent home. But you can't just go home and it heals. Unfortunately, what they have to do is leave the wound open and pack it, or at least this is how they do a lot of them. I know there's some kind of debate when you Google it, but anyways, the way they're doing mine is they pack it with like gauze, And then every single day I have to go down to the walk-in because I don't have a doctor that will do it right now. I have to wait for like 2 hours, and I have it repacked, and then I go home and I repeat the process the next day. And it takes 6 to 8 weeks apparently to heal, so that's a really long time. There are benefits and positives. Obviously, I had a lot of time where I got off my phone, I was reading books. Every day to get there, I can walk through the park, so I'm kind of getting a walk every day, and it's way better now. I was kind of sick for a bit, to be honest. Just before I went in, I was definitely starting to not feel very well, brain fog, I was very lethargic, I was feeling a bit dizzy. I definitely was very, very kind of not that close, but obviously there is a worry of sepsis, which is why at that point I didn't want to like play around with things, you know, and I just kind of followed what happened and allowed it to be, and allowed myself to learn from that experience. But even with the wound healing, I'm sort of playing around with some things, and I was playing around with it healing mega fast to the point where no one had ever seen, because at the beginning I was very, very worried. I've not been so worried about the wound. I was very, very worried about the infection because it wasn't gone completely. And, you know, I started saying how the infection had gone, and they were so surprised how quickly it was healing, and it was sort of superhuman. And I listened to some subliminals about healing bacteria, clearing bacteria, getting rid of infections. And then the next day I went in, and after having them mention cellulitis the day before, I asked the nurse, how's it looking? You know, how's the infection looking? And she said, oh, there is no infection, which is exactly, I forgot to mention that, exactly what I visualised, because I even visualised the nurse saying, oh, the infection's gone, and it literally played out exactly as I visualised it, and the subliminal totally, I believe, got rid of all the infection. But then I went and started stupidly Googling false widow bites, and I was just looking at all these really, really bad cases of, because we don't have venomous spiders here in the UK, but you can, I don't think anyone's actually died, but people have lost limbs, and it is possible to die. Like, you can die of sepsis, and spiders are, especially the false widow ones, can inject you, can sort of spread a bacteria that can lead to sepsis, which can lead to death. So they are kind of serious, even though we don't have incredibly venomous spiders here. So I started looking, and there was one about a guy that lost his leg, and that was just really bad. And I took in all this information, and then I looked, and mine had gone red again. And I was like, oh God. But I really caught myself that time because I knew I was doing it. And I went back to the subliminal about wound healing. I've stopped looking. And then it's been totally fine ever since. It's been healing really nicely. And it's kind of healed crazy quick, really, because it was 3 by 4 centimeter kind of circle and 1.5 centimeters deep. And now they're writing down that it's 1.5 centimeters, and that was just within a few days. And that seems crazy to me for something to shrink that much, but they don't seem to say anything about it. And I just affirm that, you know, I'm a wondrous healer, and it's amazing how quickly, everyone can't believe how quickly it's closing up. So that really made me realize, you know, obviously I knew that, but it really made me realize how what we consume and look at, even innocently and naively, is really playing into our reality. Obviously the TV was invented as a hypnosis tool, and I don't even think there has to be anything these people even have to do. They just have to show us. I don't have a TV. I've not had a TV for most of my life. I've not had a TV since I was about 21. And I've not read newspapers. But I have seen certain news, obviously, on social media. I'm on Facebook. And I do occasionally see televisions when I'm at someone's house, or newspapers when I'm like in the shops. But really, I've stayed out of the news. But the TV was invented originally as a hypnosis tool, and really people don't have to do anything to keep us controlled other than show us stuff. For example, when we had a toilet paper shortage, there was never a toilet paper shortage. And this is kind of how the world works. There was never a shortage of toilet paper. There was no less toilet paper than there was at any other time. It's just that driven panic from the television got everybody to consume and buy all the toilet roll. So, and it left everybody in a lack state that there was no toilet roll. So that's kind of what we created, that there's no toilet roll until everybody stopped caring so much, and then the toilet roll supply was normal again. And, you know, it really reaffirmed to me how careful we have to be of things we innocently consume. Because then I was chatting in my manifesting group with my manifesting friends, and we were talking about different music that we listened to. And I realised that a lot of my life I listened to very pining love songs. And that was sort of all the music that I really liked to listen to, you know, that you're pining after somebody. And that was really the reality that I was experiencing a lot. And I can't remember the exact examples, but one of my friends was saying, you know, that the music she used to listen to was like the angry rock that, you know, was misunderstood, and that's how she always felt. And we realised that the music that we listened to most of the time was creating our realities too. A good way around that is if there's songs you really like, you can just change the lyrics to be more positive. Which is a quick fix on that one. And I used to do, that was part of my old manifesting routine. I don't manifest quite so like that anymore, because I sort of work as a more of a co-creator now, where I allow myself to tune in to, you know, like divine guidance, while simultaneously kind of steering things and practicing gratitude and being careful of, I try and tie everything in together in the way that it feels right for me. But it really made me think that we have to be so careful what we consume, even innocently just Googling horror stories and things that we don't want to see and things that we don't want to happen, you know, because we're kind of taking all this on and imprinting it onto our subconscious. And sometimes when things happen like that, you don't really have much warning to change them either. It's not like, you know, I really had the time to sit there and affirm different things or visualize, you know, other things. So yeah, it's just a note that of how important it is to look at everything we're consuming. Look at you know, not just the food we're consuming, the water we're consuming, is that polluted? You know, the information we're consuming, the YouTube videos we're watching, the TV we're watching, you know, the films, and you know, it all kind of is just fun and games, but yeah, it really just hit me how much we're just constantly imprinting this into our subconscious. And then, you know, at some point we could be allowing this to manifest into reality. And especially as a collective, as a sort of human collective, if we constantly bombard ourselves with negativity and war and illness and just things that we don't want to manifest, we're just gonna manifest these things that we really don't want to. So I just wanted to share that experience, because it's a very direct experience that I had, where I could really see things shifting and changing depending on what I was not even saying, but just consuming and looking at on Google and YouTube. So yeah, I hope everyone's well, and yeah, I'll be back soon.